Because the listeners want to get their opinion in too, this is MuggleCast episode 237 for August 7th, 2011. This week's episode is brought to you by Audible.com, the internet's leading provider of audio entertainment, providing digital versions of over 85,000 audiobooks for download to your computer, iPhone, Android phone, BlackBerry, and iPod. For a free audiobook of your choice and to get 2 free tickets to The Help when you purchase the audiobook or sign up for a gold membership, go to audiblepodcast.com/MuggleCast. And by Hypable.com, a brand new entertainment website created by the staff of MuggleNet. Hypable is a MuggleNet for multiple fandoms, passionate, complete coverage for all the fandoms that we cover. Now with over 40 fandoms including Glee, True Blood, Breaking Bad, The Hobbit, Doctor Who, Merlin, and many more. Visit Hypable.com for news coverage you can count on. That's Hypable.com. HYPABLE.com. Welcome to MuggleCast episode 237. It's a surprise show!
Yay!
Because we just couldn't stop talking Harry Potter. And Matt is on the show this week. Hello, Matt.
Hey, guys.
And I think this is your first time talking about Deathly Hallows Part 2 on MuggleCast, right?
Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, it is.
Wait. What other podcast would he have talked about it on?
No, I'm just saying his...
It's my debut return since the release.
Okay. Actually,
I thought maybe he moved on to bigger and better things.
He did actually mention it on Hype the other day, but that was it. We talked briefly. But... at any rate, we're doing the show. This show will mostly consist of listener feedback because we've obviously gotten a ton of emails about the movie and we haven't really read any of them yet. So that's what this episode is about. And we'll still have another episode at the end of August, like we mentioned on the last episode. And that one hopefully will be pretty much all Pottermore because by that time it should be open to most of the beta people. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot to talk about once that opens up. But first, the news. Micah, what's going on?
Just maybe mostly Deathly Hallows Part 2 is continuing its surge at the box office. It actually opened in China yesterday, so I know that they're hoping that those numbers boost the movie even further up the charts in terms of where it stands all time. I know it's currently, as of today, number 6. It just moved past both Alice in Wonderland and Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides.
Nice.
Thank
God, those newbie movies.
Well, actually, on Stranger Tides is still in theaters, but it's been out for a while now, so I don't think it's going to give Hallows any sort of run for its money.
Absolutely not.
You know, in a sort of related story, Transformers became the 10th film to hit 1 billion worldwide just the other day. And I'm
the first one, you mean?
No, the third one. The one that's out now. Became the 10th film to reach 1 billion. And I just, that blew my mind. I mean, like, and that's 3 films this year out of the 10 total.
Yeah.
It's 3D ticket sales. It has
Higher
to be.
Prices.
They're pushing them into this bracket of 1 billion, which was previously very difficult to reach.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's a good movie. I mean, the fourth Pirates, really, that, was a contender. Deathly Hallows 2 had to compete with that. I just, and not like in the first week either. This is 5-6 weeks later, right?
Yeah.
That it's just knocking that aside. So, I mean, I thought the movie was fine, The Pirates 4, but not billions of, and then not what I would think as being one of the top grossing films of all time.
Yeah, I mean, right now it stands 25 million behind Toy Story 3 and 28 million behind Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest. So I would think within the next day or two it's going to be up to number 4, just because with the weekend, a few days away, it's easily going to make another $30 million.
So what are the remaining 4 then? Did you say?
Well, Avatar's number 1, Titanic is number 2, and number 3 is The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King.
Yeah.
What else is going on in the news?
Only other bit of news has to deal with the Oscars, and somebody over at WB released a statement, and they didn't say who it was, but a lot of entertainment websites reporting that WB will absolutely, hands down across the board, sounds like something Emerson would say, push Deathly Hallows Part 2 for Best Picture nomination. And we figured it would rack up some nominations, possibly for the score, possibly for art direction, possibly for visual effects, but it does look like they're going to try and get at least a nomination out of it. I don't know that it would win.
You know, we drove by Warner Brothers Studios today, me and Matt, and they have this giant poster up for Deathly Hallows Part 2, and it says, top weekend grossing film of all time, and then it has like 10 reviews on the poster. This is a giant poster. And I feel like the reason they have that up there right by their studio is A, they're proud, but B, they want the other, people, they want the people in the Academy to, be driving by that on this very busy road in the studio area, seeing that and giving Harry Potter a good thought. So that's an early sign of a big push.
Yeah.
And
interesting.
I don't blame them that they want to, they want it. They want it finally. Give it to them.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the new, under the new Academy rules, there are 10 nominees for Best Picture, as opposed to, weren't there just 4 or 5 a couple years ago? So I guess that seems reasonable. I mean, to be one of 10 films considered for that category, but, just I guess in previous years, I don't know. There's always those art films though that are really like Tree of Life, that are all just the vision is so deep and human, that it's like it completely trumps other films that are actually, like this one's a fantasy book or based off of a fantasy novel. So it just seems like for Best Picture, I think it'll have to make some strides, I think.
Mm-hmm. But what's unique about this film is the battle, I think, just being so long and so epic that I think it could be a potential Best Picture candidate.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, for me, like The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King won 11 Academy Awards, and I think mainly because of all the awards they won was mainly because they didn't win any awards previously, and I think they kind of did a whole encompassing of all 3 movies and awarded it to Return of the King. Because
I think
in my opinion, Return of the King wasn't my favorite at all, and I don't think it was the best of the series, but I definitely think that they deserved the awards they got. And so I think they may put into consideration all of the Harry Potter films and what it's achieved and how the whole series as a film kind of thing, like the best franchise. I mean, it's the top grossing franchise ever.
Well, there is that, the amount of money that the series has made speaks for itself. But also, I mean, in Britain at the BAFTAs, they've already received, the Lifetime award, the Achievement to British Film award, which J.K. Rowling and David Heyman, accepted on stage. We've seen these films in this series, like all of these film adaptations have won big in Britain, some very distinguished awards. Now, it's not Best Picture, but even if the films don't win Best Picture, I do think that they have been, respected in the film world, at least in Britain.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with everything that's being said, and I think that if you look at the top films that we were just talking about, on the all-time list, Avatar won a ton of awards, didn't win Best Picture. Titanic obviously won a bunch of awards, won Best Picture. Lord of the Rings: Return of the King won a ton of awards and won Best Picture. So it's just, how can you be in that category of movies and not receive anything?
It's funny when you say that.
Anything. They haven't won anything.
Yeah, they really
over the last 10 years.
It makes it seem like money is what drives the awards. It really does, right? It's in the Academy's best interest to have the highest grossing films of all time win Best Picture.
Oh, it's been like that for a long time. But, I mean, there's always like those films that even though they don't make millions and millions of dollars in the box office, it's almost impossible not to overlook the film. Kind of like how The King's Speech won. Like, it didn't get that much money in the box office, but it was just so widely acclaimed that there was no way around it. It was the best picture of the year.
Well, I was happy. I liked that movie.
Before we continue, we'd like to remind you that this episode is brought to you by Audible.com. the internet's leading provider of spoken audio entertainment. Content from Audible is downloaded and played back on personal computers, CDs, or iPods. Today we have a special offer for you. Get 2 free tickets to see The Help, coming to theaters August 10th, when you purchase the audiobook or a Audible.com discount gold membership today, only through our special link, audiblepodcast.com/MuggleCast. Again, that's audiblepodcast.com/MuggleCast to get your free movie tickets today. We love Audible and know that you will too. We thank them for their support of MuggleCast. So that's it for the news, short news period, but we're also going to talk about 2 big stories that just won't end. First up, Pottermore, and actually we have an email here. I want to address that first before we get into the other stuff. This is from Casey Hanley, 29 of Dayton, Ohio. Wow, what a bunch of jaded, grumpy old men you've become. I've been listening to you guys from the very beginning, and usually I enjoy your show, but every now and then you put out one that just annoys me. I don't particularly like listening to all you moan and groan for 20 minutes. Okay, there were some website problems, but in the future, this listener would appreciate it if you kept the whining to a minimum. 5 years ago, I think the inner child in all of you would have loved the hunt for the magical quill. It's just like Joe's website, all part of the magic and mystery that she loves to weave. Now you just want to be spoon-fed the answers so you can get access as soon as possible. If that's your attitude, maybe you don't deserve early access to the site. I guess you've just lost some of that initial wonder that surrounds the series. Also, just to correct you, the initial Pottermore email sign-up was never an early access guarantee. As it says on the insider.pottermore.com blog, everyone who submitted their email address between 23rd June and 31st July will be contacted to let them know when registration opens to all for entry in October. This will be after the Magical Quill Challenge has finished. Blah, blah, blah. Perhaps a little background research before recording the show would also be helpful. I don't mean to sound too negative. As long as you keep podcasting, I'll keep listening. But you say you appreciate feedback, so there's my 2 cents.
It's more like 25 cents than 2.
Well, she's right. Or he. I think, we were negative, but here's the thing. My issue was getting up at, 1 a.m. And so maybe that means I don't deserve to get into the beta period. But it's part of our job to be sharing the news with fans. And also, I was just speaking from a fan perspective. I know a lot of fans really wanted to, had no problem with it, but some fans did. Some fans, and I hate to say this, but people, who are have busy lives, do not have time to sit around on Pottermore.com waiting for an invite. And in that case, maybe they don't deserve the beta period.
Right. I'm going to be the first person to admit that I made a web vlog even that said, my feelings about this, which were that, I didn't want to work.
Hey, you're an old man on the porch.
I'm an old man on the porch.
That's scary.
No, really, I did say that. And I do kind of feel that way. This Magic Quill Challenge to me sounded last minute, or it didn't sound like the initial plan. And so on this website, which Casey points out, on the Insider Pottermore blog, it does say that, the reason why people first submitted their email. But if you look on that page, it's the last item on the page. I don't know at what date that was added there, but it feels like, because it's an FAQ page, it feels like they can add as they go. And I think only the other day did I just see this where it finally explained, the email address wasn't for early access. Right. It was to be notified when registration opens. Whatever. That is, but I did misunderstand it. And so I thought we were supposed to get something different. Now, as to Casey's, statement about, the inner child, will have been really excited to work for this and figure out these clues. I do agree that perhaps some of that innocence is lost, at least for me, because I do feel kind of, I understand what they're saying, right? We should just love J.K. Rowling to the end of the world because she's so clever, and this is the way she does things. But I do
this is actually
feel
different. This is not this.
First.
Okay, go ahead, Micah.
No. What I was going to say is just that I don't think, I know Eric you did, but I don't think all of us, the rest of us that were on the show last week, had a problem with having to, do a puzzle to essentially gain access to registering early for Pottermore. I think that was expected. That's what J.K. Rowling has always done with titles for the book or names of chapters or release dates. It's never been easy. It's always been fun and to try and go out there and to solve the riddle essentially. And I think what most of us were talking about on the last show was just that they had so many problems with their website, and I don't think they communicated things in the best manner that they possibly could. And I would say that we actually got more emails or more tweets and responses not liking how Pottermore was set up as opposed to what Casey sent it.
That's good to know. But Casey does bring up good points. They are, appreciated. And yes, we do appreciate the feedback. Back to the inner child thing, I do like what they're doing. It's certainly more exciting than just submitting your email and being done with it. It is classic J.K. Rowling, classic Harry Potter excitement. And they did a good job in that regard. It's just the timing is what kind of upset me. Again, I didn't want to wake up early, but that comes with the MuggleNet job, so I shouldn't complain.
Well, here's the thing, though, actually, that bothered us. I misspoke before. It was people making multiple accounts. That's the one thing we were complaining the most about, I think, on the last show.
That annoys the hell out of me.
Double dip.
Yes, no way. But this is different, though. In my opinion, from what I did on J.K. Rowling's website when she was doing like the books, the names and stuff of all the clues and stuff, we love doing the little, hide and seek game on her website, but none of that was timed either. Like we had only a certain window to get this done, and that is not what the fans are used to. We love to just have fun with it. We don't, okay, you have 30 minutes to get this done. If you don't get it, then maybe next time.
That's very true. Because this is all about, now, do you guys agree with what maybe I tweeted about it. I don't think I mentioned it on the show, but basically the reason this is all timed is for bandwidth issues, right? I mean, if you still go on Pottermore.com, you can get like this waiting 15 seconds to reload page because they're trying to accommodate the high volume of people trying to get into the beta testing. So is that why they only have this 2-hour window each of these days?
Yeah,
with the limit.
I think you're right. I mean, they don't want, but the thing is that they should have put into in consideration of how big and how many people will want to do this.
Well, it's Pottermore.
I know, of course, it's Pottermore, but shouldn't they at least allow whoever wants to be a beta tester in it? Or do they, or
no, they need to limit it. They need to limit it because, for server reasons and whatnot. So
it's virtually
anyway. Well, beta testing makes sense anyway. I mean, this is beta testing, right? So stuff you see, this is the other thing is stuff you see during the beta test won't necessarily make it into the actual Pottermore, right?
No, it will. It'll all be there. They're just trying to figure out different, certain little minor behind the scenes things. That's what really this is about.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused as to that.
So, Eric, you have a username now, and Micah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I have.
But you're not revealing it?
I have more than. Well, yeah, I'll reveal the one. Okay, so I couldn't make the first 3 sign-up days, and the 4th sign-up day, it was actually during American time, right? During a time that worked for a majority of the Americans. Was at 9 a.m. between 9 and 2 Central Time the other day. So on day 4, and that was really, really exciting. But it turns out, again, I was going to miss it because I was in flight to Las Vegas, where I am now. But anyway, I had a few friends just kind of, go on while I was in the air. They had volunteered to.
So what name? Come on.
My username is StarNettle42.
That's cute. Micah, how about you?
Well, I don't have as long of an explanation as Eric. I woke up. What was it? The 3rd day. It was about at 6 a.m. that it went live.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up with Shadow Spell 93.
That's cool.
That's mysterious.
Yeah, Eric's is cute. Yours is cool.
I was asleep. Andrew made one for me.
What's yours again?
Thorn Spell 33. 36.
I like that. I mean, I picked it, but I like it.
Thorn Spell.
And mine's Castle Cloak. I'm just going with that one now. I'm sticking with it.
I had the option, obviously, we reviewed these other options we have. One of them, the usernames I really like, but it was kind of a female name. It was Echo Queen.
Yeah. Queen suggests you're a female.
So I didn't go with Echo Queen. But.
And, in terms of the process getting easier for people to get beta signups, today's, the day we're recording Thursday, it was open for about an hour, but yesterday's, Wednesday's, was only about a half hour. So
are we crotchety old men to wrap up
here? I had some complaints, and I was partially just doing that to make a funny story out of it. And That's what you're going to get from me.
No, I think
you don't need to
too.
Explain
Like,
yourself.
no, not at all, Andrew.
Good. Let's move on then. Again, this is going to be a shorter show than a normal one. We're going to get through some emails now about Deathly Hallows Part 2 and some tweets. And that'll be pretty much it. Micah, can you read the first one?
Yeah, first email comes from Rachel, 19, of San Diego, and she says, as an obsessed fan of the series, I love the movie, yet there were parts that I wish were different. For one, I liked how McGonagall and Snape duel in the Great Hall, but I think I'd prefer if they stuck to the way they showed it in the book. The scene between the Carrows could have been neat, yet I did enjoy it nonetheless. McGonagall's sentiment towards Harry was always a part where I choked up. I thought Maggie Smith did an excellent job in this movie. They probably should have mentioned why exactly Hagrid was tied up with Voldemort, because people who don't read the books would have been lost. This is just me being picky, but there were two parts where I was like, why aren't you wearing the invisibility cloak, which were in Hogsmeade and the Shrieking Shack. And during Snape's death, it would have been cool if they made the silvery substance of memories come from other parts of his face, as mentioned in the book. I know the budget for house elves is expensive. Wow, she's just going off. Mm-hmm. But what I would have loved for a scene with the elves from the kitchen. That's also a really cute scene for Hermione and Ron's kiss. Those were the things I was picky about, but overall I loved it, and I love it even more every time I watch it again.
I think the reason why the house elves may not have been considered is because they
weren't considered at all.
Well, right. They haven't
never
been considered in films for a while. I mean, not really since Chamber of Secrets. There was that Easter egg one in Goblet of Fire, but they just, they've been forgotten really. Although they had the Cornish Pixies, so.
Yeah, look at that. Well, the elves were just not introduced, You can see 150 elves carrying pots and pans coming from Hogwarts, but without that introduction of them going to the kitchens and Goblet of Fire,
you don't know anything.
It's not going to mean anything. It's just going to be what else is going on. It's crazy. Like, for instance, Hagrid, being tied up in the woods. I accept that he's there. At some point, he was defending himself very valiantly. He got taken in and captured. Like, there's no.
I didn't even think about that. There was no explanation.
No, he's just there.
He is just there. He's tied up. And he says, "Harry, no!" But I just took it to mean, there was tons of stuff going on that was behind the scenes. You always have to kind of concede that.
I do agree with Rachel, though, on the scene with McGonagall and Snape in the Great Hall. I kind of was a little disappointed they kind of went a little astray from the book, because that was one of my favorite scenes.
So how does it happen in the book?
Well, it happens in a hallway, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And Snape and McGonagall kind of duel. I know they're trying to get in the movie. They're trying to push forward to the big climatic battle scene, but I don't know. It's just one of my favorite scenes, especially when she got spit in the face by one of the Carrows.
Yeah. So I think what happens, right, is they're in Ravenclaw Tower,
right,
and Harry's going there to try and find out about the diadem, and something happens. I'm forgetting exactly how it plays out, but the Carrows show up, then McGonagall shows up, and Harry's under the invisibility cloak, and he ends up doing the Cruciatus curse on one of the Carrows. And then the battle, it's more than just McGonagall, isn't it? There's other professors that show up to duel with Snape as well.
And Snape just runs away. Well, in the movie, though, when
he goes out the window like he did in the Great Hall.
Right, he went out
not the window. It's kind of a wall, isn't it?
No, I think he went out a window.
Oh, she does say there was a Snape-shaped hole. All right, that's all I remember from that scene in the book. But in the movie, no. When Snape first goes to raise his wand, because McGonagall is there with her wand, Snape hesitates in the movie. You see this very clearly, where he kind of lowers his wand at first, as if he's not sure, and then he is called to action. So I thought it was sufficiently effective.
No, it was effective, of course. It's just one of my favorite scenes.
And one more thing, sorry, Andrew. Yeah. The one thing that I mentioned, I think it was during the live show, is that with the battle, it looked completely one-sided. Talking about why no house elves, it just seemed like they wanted to show that Voldemort was really winning, and that Harry and his side was so was in so much trouble because there were no centaurs, there were no villagers from Hogsmeade, there was no house elves, there was nothing on the good side. Everything was on the bad side. Giants, spiders.
Do you think that makes Harry's sacrifice
Death Eaters, Dementors
more or less important?
Well, also with not really hardcore fans of the books, I mean, if you saw the spiders in the movie, you didn't really know whose side they were on. They were just there.
Well, the trio's running from them, so you can surmise that they're not best friends.
Oh, okay.
Next email is from Kimber Hayner, 19 of Portland. Hi, MuggleCast. I really enjoyed the discussion about part 2, but I was a little disappointed you guys skipped over some of my favorite scenes. You didn't mention Neville barely at all. He became a hero in this movie. Another great moment in the movie was when the trio are running down to the boathouse and they go through all the chaos in Hogwarts. It is so epic when they are throwing spells everywhere, avoiding the giant and huge spiders. Lavender Brown's death, the Dementors, it all just added to the intensity of the film. I loved it. You guys also didn't mention the dead people in the Great Hall. So sad. Finally, the scene that was actually one of the most heart-touching moments to me, when Harry is going to the Forbidden Forest and say goodbye to Hermione and Ron. It just touched me so much. I really like that added scene. So yeah, I mean, those are a lot of other great scenes. There's just so much in the movie that...
You just need to do a commentary. You're just going to keep getting these emails, guys.
Yeah, commentary. We actually probably need a commentary for this one because there is so much in the battle. To get through. But yeah, again, all good scenes. Neville, I brought up on the live LeakyCon show that I am just not a fan of Neville and not really a fan of Matt Lewis. I just think it felt too forced.
You're really lucky if Anna Lynch wasn't on at that point.
Yeah, I wouldn't have said that.
I don't think she would talk to us.
I kind of agree with Andrew too, though.
Why?
Just in the book.
Really?
I don't know. I never really, connected with the whole Neville Longbottom fan club. I mean, of course, yeah, he was brave and everything, but I mean, let's not suck his toes or anything.
Well, do you think that it was one of those things where his destiny, as written by J.K. Rowling, was not necessarily hinted at prior to Book 7?
Yeah.
So, like, Book 7, it's like, oh wow, he is this badass MF. You know?
I mean, he's a true Gryffindor. We find out, but.
Yeah. So are you saying that it's even less, kind of important because he's a Gryffindor, so he's supposed to be brave, or
it's just like that shot of him, climbing back up onto the walkway after it had burst into a million pieces, and him screaming at all the bad guys, yeah, what now, or something like that. I just couldn't get behind it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also, like on the last show, we talked about the moment where he wakes up and all the destruction's going on behind him with this cheesy music playing in the background, and I don't know, like I wish they would have kept it true to the book when he confronts Voldemort, and that he would have killed this Nagini right there.
Yeah, I got a question too for you, Mike, after you're done. Sorry.
No, I don't understand why they couldn't have done the whole Sorting Hat on fire on top of Neville's head, and that would have been a cool scene.
Yeah, it was definitely more powerful in the book. Guys, answer this for me, because I'm really confused. In the movie, Neville says that he's looking for Luna because he wants to tell her he fancies her. But J.K. Rowling herself said that they never get together.
Right. Yeah, that was something that they added, and Matt Lewis in the press conferences, he described it as a summer fling. The relationship.
All right, whatever.
Next email is from Jade, 17 in the UK. Eric, can you read that one?
Yep. Jade says, hi, I just wanted to comment on what Andrew said in episode 236 about the film's explanation of the Prince's Tale and how it made us look as though Harry was Snape's son. I think I said that, actually. I went to see the film on the opening day with my mom, who has never read the books but has watched the films, and as soon as the credits came up, she turned to me and said, quote, so is Harry Snape's kid. And after laughing, I thought about how it looked to somebody who hasn't read the books, and it really wasn't clear. They lost a bit of the backstory, which was disappointing. However, I know that they can't put the whole book into a 130-minute film, but they shouldn't cut important parts. They could have cut the scene where Ron and Hermione are attempting to kill Nagini and explain Snape and Dumbledore's backstory more. This is just my opinion. Thanks for reading. I love your show.
Well,
so is Harry and Snape...
They made a point the entire series of saying that he looks like James.
No, they didn't.
Who meets him for the first time, you look like your father, but you have your mother's eyes.
Yeah.
In the movies, they haven't, though. In the movies, it's really more you have your mother's eyes.
No. Well, in Prisoner of Azkaban, Sirius goes, "You look so much like your father."
Prisoner of Azkaban was 7 years ago.
Right. Well,
the film audience may need to be reminded. Whereas I'm saying in Deathly Hallows Part 2, it's a little bit overwhelming how Snape, it's just, James Potter is almost non-existent. It's awkward seeing James Potter in the Resurrection Stone scene, because, he's like, "Oh yeah, go get him, son." But it's weird, because all we found out about the whole film is how much Snape loves Lily, and has always loved Lily, and it's been unrequited love. So it just seemed like Snape was obviously the bigger subplot.
Of course he was.
Compared to James.
He's the bigger subplot out of any of the other adult characters.
It's just odd. I thought that was something that people could get confused about watching the film.
I don't think so, unless it's the first Potter film they saw. I mean, if you follow the movies, it's obvious that, Snape and Lily never even kissed. He was just in love with her. He was infatuated with her from the beginning.
Well, then there's the added scene in the movie of him cradling, her dead body.
Right. But he wasn't cradling Harry.
But that makes it look like they were really connected.
Yeah, and baby Harry is watching Snape.
Yeah.
In the
being like, is that my dad?
Well, he can't be like, "Okay, you two look like you need to be alone. I'm going to get out of my crib and leave. I'll be downstairs."
Yeah,
he's not going anywhere. He's in a crib.
I'm going to wait for Hagrid up front.
I think Jade's mom could have been on something there. New fan fiction. Well, as if that doesn't exist already.
How irresponsible of Snape to just leave a baby in a house that's been completely destroyed with two dead parents.
Right. If he was the real father, that wouldn't have happened. Next email's from Adam, 26 of Alberta, Canada. "Hey, MuggleCast, I had a comment about the previous live episode of MuggleCast when you were talking about the way Bellatrix died. I don't think it really had anything to do with Bellatrix, the way she died, but it was completely the spell Molly used. Anyone who has played an RPG like Final Fantasy would know that spell is Petrify, which turns your enemy into stone and then causes them to shatter. It was a spell we haven't seen before in Potter, but I think it was a nice touch. Too bad she didn't have Stoneproof equipped." This is very nerdy talk here. "I didn't care for the Voldemort-Harry battle, however. What did Harry do after he beat him? Walk into the school and say, 'Oh, hey, by the way, Voldemort's dead? Just thought you should know.'" End quote. You know it's Avada Kedavra though because it's a green spell.
Well, there are two distinct spells. There are two distinct spells. There's one that causes Bellatrix to die. She gasps, turns almost into a skeleton, almost, and then Molly shoots another spell, and Bellatrix explodes. So it's not one spell, no matter what it is. It's not one spell.
To be honest, I would have preferred seeing Bellatrix's dead body lying against a wall, like in the book. I think that's more scary.
I think several people have made that comment, where it's more effective, for sure, if there's just a dead body and there's no life in it,
It's great she exploded, but then it kind of made the audience a little desensitized when Voldemort exploded. Especially because both Voldemort and Voldemort's already lived without a body. So the fact that he dies, and disintegrates, it doesn't really give the finality of him being gone. Exactly.
Micah, next email.
The next email comes from Sandra12 of Stony Creek, Ontario, and she says, "You guys were talking about Aberforth in episode 236. Did Aberforth even have his goat in the movie? I might have seen it, but I was probably bracing myself for what was going to go down in the next 40 minutes. Cough, Fred, cough. Thanks for reading. I love you guys. Keep up the great work. I'm not even just saying that for effect. I'd cry for hours if you guys stopped making MuggleCasts. Well, good thing we're not.
Well, to Micah's disappointment, I don't think the goat was in there at all, right?
No. The goat has only made a cameo, I believe, in Order of the Phoenix.
Right? So unfortunate.
God, hey, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep looking for those film cells that they sell at like the exhibition. I'm going to wait until I get that cell. The goat I'm going to collect. And I'm looking for that scene with Aberforth and the goat from Order of the Phoenix. If anybody has it,
can I just bring up something though on the previous email? Was the spell that Molly did, was it the same one that Kingsley does? Where he freezes the person, right? And then he blasts them out the window?
No. Because then wouldn't Bellatrix have been frozen and then blasted? I mean, she kind of freezes, but doesn't
well,
get blasted.
Well, the second spell was different, but I think the first one...
Oh. No, the first spell that Molly cast turned her into stone because she started to crack. And then she just shattered her.
Yeah.
Is that even a spell, though? Is that just for movie effect?
That's just for movie effect.
Well, it's a movie. Absolutely, it's a movie effect. Yeah. But why on earth should that mean it isn't real? But
oh my god!
But with Kingsley and the Death Eater, real quick, going out the window. I thought the Death Eater went out the window because it's like velocity. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, right? So I just thought it was that the spell was some kind of a reversal. The Death Eater went out the window in a sense because he was coming through the window when he was hit by the spell. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I just feel like it pushed him away, but it wasn't necessarily a spell to push him away.
Next email is from Chris, 18 of the USA. I was listening to the episode from right after Deathly Hallows Part 1 came out and remembered how so many Potter fans were looking forward to seeing what happens in Part 2 with Wormtail since he didn't die like he was supposed to in Part 1. How do you all feel about that? I am still disappointed. I mean, I think that would have been an easy thing to kind of add, and I wonder if they shot it even, or if they just completely took it out.
Who was it? Was it one of the press conferences, Andrew, where somebody just admitted it was like David Heyman said, yeah, you're not going to get resolution on the Wormtail thing?
Yes, I can't remember when that came to light, but yeah, I remember that being said.
But so this is a big distinction where as of the books, Wormtail is dead. As of the end of the movies, Wormtail is completely alive.
Wormtail is just a big question.
I swear
mark.
They're making a sequel. I swear they're making a sequel. All the Deathly Hallows are on Hogwarts grounds, except possibly the cloak. But
next email, Eric.
Dominique, 19 of Florida, writes, I was just curious to see what you guys thought about how the movie portrayed, or rather butchered, the Teddy Lupin plot. I mean, in movie 5, Remus and Tonks tried to tell everyone they were pregnant, but that didn't work out. So instead, they just suddenly bring it up again in Harry Potter 7 part... Yeah, it is movie 7. It's supposed to be movie 7. It says 5. Remus and Tonks tried to tell everyone they were pregnant, but that didn't work out, so instead they just suddenly bring it up again in Harry Potter 7 Part 2, and don't even bother putting him in the epilogue later. Why waste the breath to even mention him then? I know it's a small thing, but I'd love to hear what you guys think of it. Cheers and thanks for the podcasts.
Because you're supposed to have a reason to feel bad that Tonks and Lupin are dead. And that was the best they could do. I wish there was more. I agree there should have been. And really, I would have loved to have more viewers realize, oh, this is kind of full circle with Teddy, losing his parents in war, just like Harry did.
I believe they did cast him, right, for the epilogue. They just never, and maybe they shot scenes.
He may have been in the background somewhere, but, I'm glad they at least kept when Harry was talking to Remus about his son, because I think fans would have been even more upset if they didn't mention it at all.
Interestingly, David Yates said when Micah interviewed him that his favorite character was Lupin. So I thought, when I heard that from David Yates, I went back in my memory and tried to remember if David Yates had ever really catered to Lupin, really given him some screen time, because Lupin is one of those characters where he doesn't have that much of a role after book 3, but he's always there and always supporting. But, I just went back and I remembered sort of putting up the wedding tent in HP 7 Part 1. There was a good line, and in Deathly Hallows Part 2 when he's quoting somebody, Kingsley says, who's that? Who said that? And Remus says, me. So there are those good moments that Lupin has, and talking to Harry about his son is one of them.
All right. Micah, the final email today, please.
The last email from Gonzalo, 26 from Peru. And he says, hi guys, second time writer here, long time listener. Good to know we have fans down in South America. That's pretty cool. I wanted to suggest that you talk about the look of the Grey Lady on the next show, and why she didn't look on, I guess he means in the same way as the other ghosts did in other films, or why she turned into a blue ball like a Patronus. About talking about strange places to hear your show, this last episode I heard while doing Canopy in Cusco on my BlackBerry. Peru, city of Machu Picchu, and other Incan ruins.
Nice.
Thanks for an awesome show. Hope you guys keep up the excellent job now that the films are over. So we've been heard in the ancient ruins of the Incan people.
So wait, was Gonzalo searching for blackberries or listened on a blackberry?
I think he meant he listened on a blackberry
while setting up a canopy.
Oh, I see. If anybody listens to us while hunting for blackberries, please let us know.
So about the email, the Gray Lady, right?
Yeah. I liked her. I can't remember who's the name, the actress who plays her. She stars on Boardwalk Empire. Somebody could look that up real quick. But yeah, she's a great actress. And I remember Dan commenting on, how much of a pleasure it was to work with her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on our MuggleCast, I mentioned that as being a contender for my favorite scene in the film. But I also believe I mentioned at the live show at LeakyCon that the Gray Lady, it confused me at first because they did make her look differently than the other ghosts in previous films. They made her look more like she was there. And it confused me because I thought it was a very similar effect to what they did with the Resurrection Stone, which is possibly an issue because the Resurrection Stone, it doesn't really create ghosts, right? Or when, if everybody in the Resurrection Stone scene was a ghost and they said that they had been here the whole time to Harry, does that mean that they were like wandering around in the Forbidden Forest the whole time as ghosts ever since they died? It didn't make sense to me.
Well, they cut out the whole backstory. Man, look, I understand the whole Bloody Baron tie-in to the Gray Lady, but as far as looks, isn't it the same as what they did with Dobby? Dobby looked completely different in Part 1 than he did in Chamber of Secrets. I think it's just a matter of technology.
And 10 years.
And what about, did you guys notice, I think it was a way of David Yates or even David Heyman throwing it back to Sorcerer's Stone when she passes through Harry, kind of like Voldemort does in the first movie.
Yeah, I thought that was cool, but I think it also
doesn't
showed
Myrtle
her...
do that too? Myrtle does that, doesn't she?
Also in Prisoner of Azkaban.
It's also kind of her anger, I think. Just kind of giving Harry a hit. Obviously, he doesn't feel anything, but I don't know. It adds sort of like it shows her anger.
And
anyone
I
look
guess
up
another
who plays her?
Oh, Kelly MacDonald.
Kelly MacDonald.
The other thing about ghosts real quick is, you don't need to show them as being completely transparent or mostly transparent to sell the idea that they're a ghost. I think what really sells the idea that they're ghosts, at least in the book, is that they are visible, they are sort of a physical presence, but in terms of their personality, they are in their own world. So I thought Kelly MacDonald portrayed that really well, where they don't really interact with living all that much. They're kind of private. So when the Gray Lady says that Luna is kind, Luna's like the only human she speaks to. And otherwise they're part of this earth, but they're not supposed to be here. And it's this ongoing, conflict that exists in the books. I think that was really kind of, well put on the film with the Gray Lady.
All right, now it's time for the lightning round. Tweets, favorite scene. These are submitted by people who follow us on the MuggleCast Twitter account. If you'd like to follow us, just go to twitter.com/MuggleCast. Alex D336 writes, favorite scene when Harry confronted Snape in the Great Hall. The Snape-McGonagall duel right after was great as well. Amy Wilson writes, loved Snape's memory, but my favorite line is Dumbledore's, words are a most inexhaustible form of magic. Great tribute to Joe. I apologize for my poor Dumbledore impression. Alicia Perez writes, The Prince's Tale and when Neville killed Nagini are definitely my favorite scenes. Good on Yates for those two scenes. Amazing. Amelia writes, my favorite Deathly Hallows Part 2 scene was when Neville was fighting against the Death Eaters near the bridge. So funny. Pablo Ruiz the Fifth writes, my favorite scene was when McGonagall awakens the statues. Minus the comic relief moment that sucked.
Oh.
I'm glad he agrees with me. Jeffrey Hutton writes, I loved how twisted Griphook was in the movie. He was almost scary.
I thought
he was scary.
Mm-hmm. He was scary, but I thought that did Griphook a disservice.
But he's a why?
Goblins
he's supposed to be pretty.
Right, but goblins as a race are not developed in these films, so we're supposed to understand goblins to be just tired of all the segregation, that wizards give to him. But instead, when, Griphook says you are a most unusual wizard, to Harry, it carries no weight. We don't know why he says that. And furthermore, Griphook is such a villain in this film due to the short time he has on screen that it doesn't actually matter that Griphook thinks that what Harry did by burying Dobby is a damn decent thing.
Well, he is kind of a villain. I mean, he screwed them over. In the book,
he does,
and in the
but
film.
he's much deeper, I think, in the books. And so, showing him when he says that line about how it was decent about Dobby, "Your most unusual wizard," we just don't get that. He's too busy being a villain and creepy.
But I mean, do you expect him to explain why he's an unusual wizard in the movie? Wouldn't you think it kind of slowed down the film?
Well, no, it would have detracted from where Griphook's character needed to be, which was to betray them in the vault. Though. That's what I'm saying. So they needed him to serve that purpose. He's creepy, whatever. He's a creepy goblin, but it furthers our, I don't want to say racism. It furthers our hesitation, or it just creeps us out, right? He's creepy looking, and therefore his personality is creepy. That's not, I don't agree with that. That's just something that happens in the film.
Jen Tink writes, when the teachers are enchanting the castle. OMG, so perfect. Jesse writes, I really liked the King's Cross scene. It was really moving. Bethany writes, I love when Hermione is Bellatrix. I think Helena Bonham Carter did an excellent job of acting how Hermione would have. I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that. She did do an amazing job. I'd like to see another 5 or 10 minutes of that going on, though, in terms of the film. Because you can just tell. We heard the set report, right? We heard that Helena spent a lot of time following Emma to find out mannerisms and stuff.
Just like Dan with Seven Potters, yeah. And finally, Barbara PT writes, I've got tons of fave scenes, but the sequence of the battle with the trio going to the boathouse got me chills. Outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was cool. All right, and to wrap up the show, something missed? Anything that you guys missed that you wanted to have seen in there?
In the movie? Somebody has something in the doc.
Oh. I threw that in there, and I think we talked a little bit about it on the last show, but they never made it clear. The movie is called Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Part 1 and Part 2, but they never made it clear that Harry was in possession of all three. There's no discussion of the invisibility cloak. The resurrection stone is kind of mentioned in passing, but it's just. It's weird. I mean, he's in control of all three of them, and yet I don't know that it's ever made apparent to the viewer.
No, it's definitely not. But I don't have anything that was missed that I wanted in there, so I'll just echo what Micah said if I can. That you made a point, Micah, where the title of the movie is Deathly Hallows. For that reason and that reason alone, I think they should have explained all three Deathly Hallows. Otherwise, I mean, to me, it was never about the Deathly Hallows, it's about the Horcruxes, but the book really tries to show that Harry has this choice, right? About, he could choose Hallows and then just keep running from Voldemort. But, ultimately, he does need to destroy all the Horcruxes, so I never thought it was a choice, but the fact that they didn't explain it in the movie called The Deathly Hallows, I thought was a good enough argument.
Well, they explained what they were. I mean, you got it in Part 1 with the Tale of the Three Brothers, and then you got it in Part 2 with Ollivander, but what was not made clear was that Harry was
the one true master of death.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, with the Deathly Hallows too, I was really, really disappointed that Harry didn't mend his wand back.
Mm.
I really thought that was a big thing they should have kept in the movie. And for
closure with the wand.
Yeah, closure. I mean, he snapped the wand in half and threw it over the bridge. Okay, that's fine. That's dramatic. But dude, he needed to mend
Draco's wand.
He had Draco's wand, but it's not his wand.
It is though. In the beginning of the movie, when Ollivander says that, its allegiance may have changed, it is Harry's wand now.
But it's not Harry's his wand. Harry himself said in the book
not the one he's had.
That's the one that he loves. Right.
Yes, but so why, if Harry doesn't have his own Phoenix Core wand, why is Voldemort and him doing the Priori Incantato, or the wand binding red versus green light shooting out of their wall. Why does that happen?
Why does that happen with Voldemort and Dumbledore in Order of the Phoenix? That's just incorrect canon.
Yeah, why does it happen with Arthur and a Death Eater earlier in the?
Why did we see so many of it happening in the courtyard?
Well, I mean, I guess there's a difference.
For effect.
I guess there's a difference between Priori Incantatem when ghosts show up. You know, that's actually, right? Isn't that Priori Incantatem? As opposed to just the green and light versus the red light. But still, it's just, previously it had been used to show the connection between Harry and Voldemort, and I guess regardless of what wand they have, they still have that connection.
Well, it's also because the Elder Wand is never going to betray its true master.
Right.
It's never going to betray Harry, so it's not going to be able to cast a spell against
That's a good point.
Well, thanks everyone who sent in emails and tweets for today's show. We really appreciate it. It was a fan-powered show. We couldn't do it without you.
With some old men.
With some cranky old geezers. Don't forget, MuggleCast.com has all the information you need about this wonderful podcast program that we inject into your ears and hope you become addicted. If you visit MuggleCast.com, at the top you can click on Contact and fill out the feedback form to get in touch with us. Or just head over to the right side of the page, and from there you can subscribe and review us on iTunes. You can follow us on Twitter, which is twitter.com/MuggleCast. You can like us on Facebook, which is facebook.com/MuggleCast. Or you can follow us on Tumblr, which is mugglecast.tumblr.com. I see the top image on the MuggleCast Tumblr right now is Matt Britton's No Hate image.
Ooh. Really?
Look at you, Matt, making a statement.
God, I'm
That's
sexy.
something. That is something. You're very white.
Thank you.
So MuggleCast.com has all the information that you need. Our next episode, as previously reported, will be August 21st, and hopefully we'll all be in Pottermore by then. I imagine there's going to be endless amounts of stuff to talk about. It may have to be, some people want a 12-hour show, another 12-hour show. That may be a 12-hour show. Of us just going through everything, because there's going to be a lot. And what's this, a rumor about Will Dunn, one of the actors in the epilogue scene? What's this about?
Is it a rumor? I don't know. I was going to say it as fact, but
oh, well, I don't know. What is it?
Will Dunn wanted to come on the show and talk a little bit about the epilogue, filming of the epilogue.
Jack.
It is a fact.
Cool.
So hopefully for our next episode 238, he'll come on. Maybe some of the other kid actors that were in the epilogue as well. So
very good.
Look forward to that.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening. I'm Andrew Sims.
I'm Eric Skull.
I'm Mike Tannenbaum.
And I'm Matt Britton.
See you next time with Will Dunn and Pottermore Talk for episode 238. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.